Hey everyone, Pessmore here and welcome to Stafford Case. Note? Yeah, I know. We figured out who did it, but it's not over yet. The cabinet security wants the specific way she carried out the crime, and it's our job to find that out. Listen carefully, Miss M. You've fallen victim to Barafin's skill. What? That's impossible. I mean, according to the data we have on her, it's quite obvious that I wouldn't know if I had been affected by her skill. Exactly, but there's no rule saying you have to sprinkle pain medication onto the victim's food. What are you talking about? That's one of the first rules we set up. No, that's just a rule Miss Barafin implanted in your mind with her brainwashing skill. I have no idea what you're talking about. It's no use. It seems once the thought is implanted, the skill doesn't allow you to doubt it ever again. That's more terrifying than I could have possibly imagined. M would never understand her role in the murder. It's gotta be impossible to make her understand that her thought process was concocted by someone else. It would be faster to show Miss M when she was hit with the skill instead. Okay, there's the mana release. I know it's the mana release, it's just... Okay, here. Miss M, please have a look at this document. That's the document I gave you. According to this, Miss Barafin used her skill 16 days ago. As you said, you never figured out what sort of falsehood she implanted back then, right? Don't you think that's when you might have fallen victim to her skill? No, that wouldn't explain it. Why? Why is that? I told you already. When she uses her skill, we search out every employee at this facility. That goes for guards as well. Ah. 16 days ago when she used her skill, this facility had another guard watching over the inmates. I was assigned to this position after she used her skill. Thus, I don't see how I could have fallen victim to it. But you said Barafin's skill can be transmitted through records too, right? Do you think there's a possibility she wrote a phrase with her skill and you happen to see it? But she's not allowed to have a pen or paper. Plus, we searched this whole facility top to bottom a few times now. Saying that she wrote something out using her skill, that's out of the question. Then how did she do it? Miss M, can you think of anything that was out of the ordinary? Even the tiniest detail. Barafin's skill removes the possibility of doubt from her target's mind. If I really have been exposed to her skill, I'll be unable to recall the moment that happened. Note, any ideas? I wouldn't say I have zero ideas, but I'm not confident in anyone's thought. When it comes to info on Miss Barafin, we're missing too much. Well then, shall we interrogate her? Xena! We can't. I'll go in and interrogate her by myself. Then it'll only be me who falls victim to her skill. If I detect any abnormal heartbeats, maybe it'll help you find something out. You know that's not the issue here. Come now, there's no guarantee Barafin's gonna use her skill on me. Even if she were to, what's the problem? I never help when it comes to the logical aspects of figuring out what happened. Still, if someone's going to interrogate her, it should be me. No, if someone's going to interrogate her, it should be the person able to detect abnormal heartbeats, right? She's right. let's go with Thena's idea. Okay! Sarge, is this really the okay thing to do? You'll see. Well then, I'm going in. One moment. Before you come into contact with Barafin, I've got to pat you down. You can't be taking a pen or anything in there. Then how am I supposed to take her statement? Sorry to inconvenience you, but I'll have to write it out once you come out. I also can't let you take any weapons or communication devices. If I must. Brian, hold my stuff. Thena, be careful in there. Heh, look who's shaking in his boots now. You make it look like I'm walking to my death or something. Please don't joke about that. If you die, I will be mad. Very mad. I can't hear what they're saying, but it looks like the interrogation has begun. Thankfully, it looks like she's cooperating thus far. I didn't tell this to Thena on purpose, but there's a high probability her plan will work. Huh? Morlo Elroy said the note solved the case in the previous timeline, and it's clear that Barafin is a culprit. If Barafin's interrogation is fated to happen, then this interrogation will prove Barafin's guilt. Thus, it's quite likely that Thena's questioning will turn up something. I think he'll go a different direction. Not the direction you expect. A reasonable assertion. Are you mad at me? Just concerned. Miss Barafin just saw Detective Thena's bracelet and looked noticeably taken aback by it. May I ask you one thing? Has there been an incident like this one before? What do you mean? Has anything happened like this where a staffer has had to question Barafin? Any questions not about this facility? Has this happened before? Yes, I heard that something like this happened once before when Barafin tried to escape. Brian, go in and get Thena out of there. Understood. Sergeant, what's come over you all of a sudden? The plan has been scrapped, note. I've grown far too complacent. Wait, there's a procedure for opening that... What's that sound? It's the siren that sounds when a large amount of mana has been detected. Then that means... Damn it! Huh? What's that? An air raid siren? Thena, get out of there! Brian? How many seconds do we have left? How many kilotons is the bomb? Nothing's blowing up. Just get out of there. Sergeant, why are we inside? Dear heavens, how many visitors am I going to get today? You're a fair bit quieter than the blonde who just left. Miss Barafin, what did you do? What did you just make Thena believe? Oh, that? Why don't you figure it out for yourselves? You're all staffers, right? Just like her. Can't you just figure out what sort of lie I implanted? Using your skills? I see. This woman figured out that Detective Thena was using her skill during the interrogation. She figured it out based on a past run-in with a staffer. So, it's a lie you can't be caught telling then. It's just questions and more questions with you. You really shouldn't. Traditionally, when speaking to a lady, shut up. Right now, I'm trying to think. Note, what's our best course of action? What should we do? You think we can make this scum of the earth locked away in the corner of some basement regret her choices even more? But of course, making her feel utterly helpless is a start, huh? Probably our best course of action. Yeah, I think you're right. Let's go. Yeah. I'll be right here. Are you sure you're okay? I said I'm fine. If you ask me that one more time, I'm going to blow up in your face. Detective Cena, are you alright? I said I'm fine! Why are you yelling at me? Detective Hervinus, this way please. What are you doing? It was only for a moment, but this woman was exposed to Barafin's skill. You must quarantine her. All of this babbling you're doing, is this related to this facility too? It's slightly unrelated, but as for the facility itself, you aren't able to discuss anything outside of the operations of this facility. That's what you told us. But are you going back on that now? If you're gonna be like that, I'll be right back. Who does she think I am? Ugh. She looks angry. I share the sentiment. Right, you look it. Right, her statement! I need to write it down before I forget. Can you? I can, so hurry and give my stuff back. No! Don't! Let's see here, she definitely said that, then she followed up with this. Done. Statement complete. Detective Thena, the abnormal heartbeats? There were none. That Barafin woman, she didn't lie a single time. Sergeant, is this... Yes, Barafin's skill has altered Thena's perception of her. Based on M's case we already analyzed, Barafin's skill blocks all logic from dealing with the key word she uttered. Since Barafin made Thena believe everything in her statement, Thena didn't write down any abnormal heartbeats. Barafin could use her skill to make anyone believe a single statement. There's a part of her statement that should have been marked with an abnormal heartbeat, but it's unmarked here. That's not all. It's the statement as a whole. It's the statement as a whole. First of all, let's find the lies in her statement. All of them. There we go. Okay. That part about her not knowing the victim's face seems strange. Why's that? It's the truth. It's not. It was a whole month ago, but Miss Barafin has gone to the lounge before. Yes, he sneezed. Trust me, bro. You could tell from her footprints appearing on the trace photo. She would have gotten a clear look at the victim's face through the glass wall that separated them. She could see the victim's movements through the glass, and she must have come up with the idea of using pain medication as her weapon. Ah! Brian must be seeing things! You really believed that? No use arguing with her. With Thena how she is now, nothing will make her doubt a statement. Still stings a bit. Sorry, you should have taken a more careful look. Right, everything's my fault. Then the statement was made using her skill. But even the god knows that Barafin saw the victim. So what would the point of using a skill on such a clearly false statement? That part isn't the only strange one. What do you mean? In her statement, there's one more thing that doesn't make any sense. It's not just false statements where Detective Stina senses abnormal heartbeats, but in this statement. Would you have a look at this part of the statement? Please be it. Is it? Detective Tina's abnormal heartbeats don't only show up for lies. Right. I also detect abnormal heartbeats when a victim speaks about death or murder. I forgot about that. Well then, why exactly didn't you detect an abnormal heartbeat when Miss Barafin spoke about death right here? Huh? That's just a mistake. Of course there was an abnormal heartbeat there. A mistake? You wrote out the statement, yet it was a mistake? Sorry. I was just sure that the statement was true, that I didn't detect any abnormal heartbeats. I must have been mistaken. You really think it's a mistake, even though you detected an abnormal heartbeat? Heartbeat, you didn't write it down? Theodore must have been so focused on trusting Barafin's words that she ignored what she saw and felt. Makes sense. In that moment, she believed in the lie more than she believed in herself. The more I find out about the skill, the more it scares me. So does this mean this line about her not having killed the victim is Barafin's lie? Barafin. She must have caught on to the fact that Thena's a staffer who was able to distinguish lie from truth. Is that why she made Thena believe the entirety of her statement? Does she think we'd believe everything Thena said? No. Something's wrong here. The siren tipped off to Barafin using her skill. She would know we couldn't believe a thing Thena told us. Oh. Wait, how'd this happen? We can't be sure that Barafin only used her skill once, but we have two parts of the statement that are wrong. She pulled a fast one on us. I can figure out why she did this, but the important question is how. Sergeant, could I have a chat with Miss Barafin? She can't use her skill anymore, so she's no longer a threat, but why bother? I think I know the lie she implanted, but I have to be sure. Seriously, you can't even give me a moment to think this through? The woman just declared war on us, so what's she going to think when we march back in there 3 minutes later? Sorry. Don't apologize. That was meant as a compliment. Brian, keep a close eye on Thena. Note and I will go visit our suspect. Understood. Keep an eye on me? Did I really fall victim to Barafin's skill too, then? You did. And thanks to that, Note's getting closer to the bottom of this case. Well, that was all I could do to help out anyway. How long have we been at this case? Exactly 1 hour. If you don't count the moving around and investigating, he has about 10 minutes to deduce what's going on here. You know what? I think Note's actually getting faster at that. He used to need at least a little time to work things through, but Now I don't think it takes him even a second to come up with his answers. You and Pandy help him with some of his steps in logic, but honestly, I'm overwhelmed just listening and trying to understand. I'm so embarrassed that I can even barely get a word out that shows I sort of follow. Honestly, I wish I could be more of help. wish I could be more help. I became a detective for personal reasons. I wanted to be a person trusted by ordinary citizens, even though I'm a staffer. But these days, my thoughts have changed, and I find myself hoping I can help him through things, even if it's the slightest bit. So when you forced us into letting you go interrogate Seraphim, I understood why you did it. It's weird. He's only been with us a few months. But it's like I'm seeing the Pandy we had before her incident. Actually, it's more like overwhelming supernatural abilities can breed fear, but overwhelming talents can make jealousy give birth to admiration. They really wanted notes for this position, and now I see why. They? Just talking to myself. Dear heavens, it's been so long. Oh, has it really been 5 minutes since I had that pleasure? My apologies. Being held here has warped my sense of time. I must admit she does look good. But, I had no idea you'd be back in a mere 5 minutes after giving such a haughty speech. What does that mean, haughty? I never heard that word in my life. You're not funny. How rude. You don't strike me as the humorous type yourself, dear. I'm scared of getting between these two. Miss Seraphim, we're back so soon because we don't need more time to think this through. I know exactly which parts of your statement to use your skill on. Is that so? What statement might that be? Detective Thena messed up on at least 2 parts of the statement. Miss Seraphim lied on one part, but then to make us think the whole thing was a lie, she had no choice but to use her skill on that part of her statement. Of course, it's this part right here. And just to make sure, Miss Seraphim, please say I'm a man. Yeah, random thing, but Pardon? If that statement doesn't suit you, you could also say I'm 200 years old. Are you pulling my leg? I see. Say I'm the President of Canada. That is, if you don't want to meet your maker. Why Canada in particular? You two are a laugh and a half. Fine. I'm a 200-year-old man, the President of Canada, and an anarchist to boot. You happy? I am. Did you hear all that, Detective Thena? Wow! They really have such an extraordinary person locked up down here. Yeah, a 200-year-old politician, yeah. It sounds realistic, kind of. I mean, I can see it happening in a far future, where old rich people can just live up to like 1,000 years old. Are you serious? Canada doesn't even have a president! Yet, Brian. Yet. Wait, when does this game take place? Then that woman's there first? Note, what's going on? The skill detection alarms didn't go off. They didn't. Yet Thena believed Miss Barafin's words unconditionally. That's because Miss Barafin's statements forced Detective Thena to believe everything she said. You said, I would never stoop so low to tell a lie, right? Shut up, phone. That's one sentence right there. Through that one statement, Detective Thena would accept anything that came after as the truth. She'd believe anything that come out of your mouth. So, would you like a round of applause? Or maybe a warm hug? I mean, maybe, you know? Yeah? Is that the music or is that... Okay, it is the music. What's going on? Oh man. Stay back. Utterly futile in the end, no. Just because you claimed to have figured that out, it doesn't mean a thing. Oh, it means something alright. It means you're a culprit. Yeah, I killed her. But you already knew that, right? You think I'm just going to play dumb? I know this facility inside and out. They don't care who's a criminal here. They just want to know how I did it. They want the specifics to make sure such a horrible incident doesn't repeat itself. Isn't that right? As long as you don't figure that out, I win. These people would never kill me, so I'll be free to try this out again. Why do all this? Can you not take one look at me and see what my plan is? Does my discovery really mean nothing? But you're right. We had to find out how you did it, Sergeant. But even though you don't care who finds out you're the killer, why on earth would you use the last skill you're allowed to use on Thena? Because it was entertaining. I love seeing the helpless looks on your faces. I'm sorry, but the only one who would ever believe a lie is better suited for a dime novel is Thena after you use that skill on her. And the one with the helpless look on her face is going to be you, not us. Think what you will. Note, consider this. Barafin's goal isn't to conceal her crime, but the way in which she did it. Yet she chose to use her skill on Thena. Oh man, this music is... amazing. Okay. Maybe something Detective Thena asked held a hint about how the crime was committed? That's right. And then she figured out Thena was a staffer too late. But then if she used her skill to scrub just that part out, it would have drawn suspicion to it. So to make us pass by that information, she made it so we wouldn't have to tell the truth from the lies. We wouldn't be able to tell the truth from the lies. There's a lie in that statement Thena took that Barafin really wanted to hide. If not, she'd have had no reason to use her skill. Sergeant, that's not half bad. A cocky sort of compliment, but I'll take it since it felt genuine. I should take another look at her statement. Besides, the lies we've already pointed out. There might be something between the lines. Something that hints at the way she pulled this off. This is all we've got to go on. Got it. Miss Verifin, the statement you were trying to conceal is right here. There's no record of what you did. This is it, isn't it? Well, oh yeah, they're all in the straitjackets, huh? Okay. Sorry, just... nah. What do you want me to say? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. No. 10-1 says it's our answer. You have no reason to conceal any of the other statements. This is what you wanted to hide. The statement about how you committed the crime. The fact that there's a record of you using your skill. And the sentence that said you must sprinkle a large amount of pain medication onto the victim's food. It's how it was possible for you to influence M after she was assigned to this wing. None of you understand what I'm trying to say. I'd like to just clear one thing up. You all can keep speculating about this and that, but it's not going to change a thing. Do you think that because of all this speculation you're throwing around, I'm going to break down and give you a confession while tears of penance roll down my cheeks? Maybe if you were an ace attorney. Maybe. But then again, Phoenix had to solve the case to get to that point, so... If you got no proof, you're spewing nothing but hot air. Isn't that right? She doesn't look the slightest bit agitated by all this. Is she used to being in these types of situations? Proof. If it's proof she wants, we need to find the evidence of what she left behind. That record will be our best clue. She couldn't bring a pen and paper back to her room. She must have written out her sentence using other means. Do you have something you can point to? She wants me to figure it out. Let's think. Miss Verifin used her skill 60 days ago, at the time the staff and members were switched out, and search for what she left behind turned up nothing. Then after the search, Miss M shows up to the facility and somehow falls victim to Miss Verifin's skill. That means she must have seen something somewhere. According to the records, Miss Verifin hasn't been out of this room for a whole month. Thus, Miss Verifin's writing must have been somewhere in this room. Also, it must have been written in some way no ordinary search could detect. If there's trace of that remaining... Oh... When I was young, I had to stay inside on rainy days and I'd go absolutely stir-crazy. Every time I felt like that, I used to draw on the fogged up windows. The pictures on the window would fade with time, but all you had to do was breathe on them to make them reappear. I see! So using that method, it wasn't that the picture disappeared, it just turned invisible. Then with the moisture from your breath, the picture revealed itself again. Shia Berifin? Even though I see no sign of defeats on your face doesn't change the fact that we've backed you up against the wall. Oh, so slowly, we're going to tighten the noose around your neck. 16 days ago, you wrote a sentence on the glass wall of your cell. At that moment, you used your skill. The guards back then looked for the message you left, but the words were practically invisible, so they found nothing. The bureau ruled that you simply didn't leave a trace of your skill on your victim, so they brought on a new guard, Miss M, to work here. Then, when you and her were alone, you made the message you written on the glass appear once more. It could have been as simple as you breathing on the glass, or possibly using steam from some hot water. If you had only used your finger to write the message, it probably would have remained for just a few days, so you wrote it in something more oily, like a thin layer of lotion applied with your hand. With a single look at the message on the glass, M was forced to believe it unconditionally. And that's when she started sprinkling a large amount of pain medication onto the victim's food. She began to think it was one of the rules she had to follow. Then the victim was slowly poisoned by the toxins that built up in her body, just like you planned. Miss Shia Burfin, that's how you killed your victim. Just like that? It's this again. Is it though? Actually, for real? It's over. All I have to do is investigate the skill with my glass. Glass was my skill, and I'll feel the memory left there. You don't need to go through all that. I've already given up. It's unfortunate I got caught, but the crime itself was a big success. I'm happy enough knowing that. Why'd you kill her? You two know each other, but that's only from seeing each other in the lounge a few times. What do I gain from telling you that? Though, it's obvious that you'll just keep pestering me if I don't tell you, so I'll just put it out there. After all, I need my beauty rest. To put it as simply as I can, I just wanted to wreak havoc on this facility. Wreak havoc? How's killing an innocent woman supposed to damage this place? Don't you work for the Bureau? Don't you know why we're all stuck down here? Isn't it just because it would be dangerous to let you Oppenheimers loose on society? You have no idea what sort of entity the Bureau is. If that were the case, wouldn't they just kill us and save themselves the trouble of locking us up like this? No, I mean, to be frank, there is a rumor that they swiftly execute an Oppenheimer determined to be difficult to detain. It's just a rumor, but considering that this facility isn't holding any Oppenheimers capable of inflicting physical damage, well, shit. Then why are they detaining the Oppenheimers here? It's obvious. They're researching our skills to see how they can put them to use. We're considered valuable assets by the Bureau. So, I just destroyed one of their assets. Specifically their asset named Mithril Roger. What in the... Did you hold no personal grudge against her? Nope. The only grudge I hold is toward the Bureau, and I'll have my revenge. The only way I thought to accomplish that was by killing Mithril. Are you insane? That woman was in the exact same position you're in. Do I look sane to you? My first few years here, all I could think about was getting out. Using the items I was given and my particular skill, I meticulously planned my escape. Just the planning for the third escape attempt took me over 2 years. With each attempt, I was able to get farther and farther. Then on the 6th attempt, I finally reached the elevator that took me to the ground floor. When I came to, I was right back in my cell. Those bastards had done something that could teleport me back to my cell whenever they so desired. Escape had been impossible from the very beginning. My escape attempts were just another good opportunity for the Bureau to carry out its research on me. That's why they don't outright ban our skills. Research. Still, I knew that if I sat here twiddling my thumbs, I'd probably just kill myself. I wanted to get my hands on whoever I could and rip them to pieces. But no matter how many Bureau people I killed, they just sent in new guards as if nothing had happened. This is my way of exacting my revenge on those Bureau monsters. To that end, I don't have a care in the world. After all, I won't get out of here until I'm dead. That much hasn't changed. All because of you, Bureau people. Note, let's get out of here. We've done what we came here to do. Right. I'm sorry, man. Shut up, phone! It's an emotional moment. How frustrating. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Okay. Still, how long has it been since I had a conversation that long? That was quite the entertaining experience to keep things fresh. Yeah, not too bad at all. When I was talking to that Roger woman, I had to write everything out on the window. Maybe I am going insane. And when exactly will I have the courage to kill myself? I don't know. Uh-oh. Well, it's forcing me to save. Ah, you're back! I see you've done what you set out to do. We have. Oh? Did you get revenge for what she did to me? I mean, I guess you could say that. She won't die for her crimes, but she will be punished. Once again, note, you figured this out in less than no time. Good job. Yeah. Well then, since you figured out how exactly she pulled off her crime, I guess all that's left is to inform the Bureau, yes? Indeed, we still got a good deal of time, but how about we head over to the meeting place a bit early? Well, it's up to you, Note. Where would you like to go? Right. You figured out how she did it. I guess we don't really need to stick around here. Then I guess our next destination is... I forgot about Dog! Dog! I'm sorry, Dog. Hold up. Note, this is... Yo, bro, you're back. I am. Kept you waiting, huh? Drats, my worst fears have been made real. This is the worst timeline. You just think that because you're delusional. It's really not. Note has come over all this way because he uncovered Barrowfin's crimes. Or maybe it's because of what Elroy said before? Mr. Elroy, You said you already lived through this case in the previous timeline, right? Then Miss Barafin being a killer and the victim's food being spiked with medication. You knew all of that? But you sat by and watched all of it happen. When I asked you why you didn't do anything to stop it, you said you'd tell me once I caught up with myself on the other timeline. We uncovered the truth behind Barafin's murder, so I'm here to listen to your answer. Why didn't you stop these events before they could get started? Alright, I think you're ready to hear my answer. To start with the conclusion of the story, it wasn't that I did nothing. I passed along the message. The guard didn't know, but I left it somewhere the woman would see. I showed it the information that I alone knew. The information only he knew? That probably means the details of the case. Also, if he's talking about the message... You say message, but... Is this what you're talking about? Ooh. Elroy, this is a page from the tragedy and the House of Mirrors. Okay. Dude, you're so worthy of being called my bro. You found it. But it's not good to go ripping pages out of books. I was reading that. I apologize for that one. It's totally cool. The ending was spoiled for me, but so I probably wasn't gonna go pick it back up anyway. Up in the corner, it looks like a bit of ink was smudged. If you look carefully, you can see someone trying to erase the words up there. Can't tell what was written just by looking at it, but we were able to successfully pull a few words out with a skill. Because of that, we managed to read the words meals and die. At first glance, I felt a rather bad feeling about that sentence, but after getting to the bottom of this case, I find the meaning here has changed. The drugs in the victim's meal were what killed her. We know that's how Miss Barafin pulled it off. Mr. Elroy, this is an explanation of Barafin's crime, and the only person who could have written it, the only person who knew what happened was you. Dude, you're a reliable squirt. Alright bro, then you found the clue I left behind. Just as you say, it was a warning. A warning? Of course. A warning? Left just for the victim? Mr. Elroy, it's just as you said. You didn't sit there and do nothing. You left a warning for the victim in a book she would read. Right on the money. Bro, your girlfriend catches on fast. Don't mention it. Hey, she didn't say no. She didn't say no. But why make your warning so complicated like that? Couldn't you just have told the guard? Of course I started with that, but that M woman couldn't understand what I was saying. I mean, she understood the words I was saying, but she couldn't wrap her head around the parts relating to Barafin's skill. Of course, she already understood the spell of Barafin's skill then, so she had no idea she was being used. As you already know, I knew of Mithril's death on the 20th of December. That's when I used my skill to come back to 10 days ago. Mithril was a mysterious chick who never talked about herself. Still, she was the only friend I had here. I wanted to save her. But instead of believing me, M ended up tightening the watch around me. I had no choice but to send Mithril a message in secret. The guard is poisoning your meals. Throw away the top layer of your food if you don't want to die. I've seen your death. That's the message I wrote out. It's the only way I need to save her. I doubt I'd be able to stomach my meals if someone foresaw my death like that. Refusing to eat is against the rules of the facility, so she would have had no choice. Xena, could you write all that down on a statement? Huh? But I didn't read him for any abnormal heartbeats. It's alright. Elroy has no reason to lie. I see now that you tried your very best. However, Miss Mithril Roger... Wait, what? Wait, where's the log? Exactly! I'm also curious how I wasn't able to stop her from dying. I can't go back in time again and stop her from dying. But bro, you gave me an idea! Someone must have erased my message! You didn't know what happened? You didn't know that happened? Of course not. Due to this mana release business, they cancelled my scheduled visit to the lounge. Someone must have erased my message so Mithril couldn't see it. That's how she died like before. The question is who? Did Barafin somehow find it? Note, the person who erased that warning must have been the person who picked up the book after Elroy. You've got a way of figuring out who that was, right? We do. I know which document you're referring to. Mr. Elroy, if you'd have a look at this, we can find out who erased the note you left. No, not that one. What? What? Does that mean that Mithril also wanted to die? Something tells me that Mithril wanted to die, okay? I'm gonna be very honest. If I was invincible and held in captivity like this, I would also want to die. Straight up. I mean, I want to die now. And I'm not in any secret facility. I'm just in Singapore. Nah, I'm just joking. Please don't call the suicide hotline. Or something, I don't know. Don't call the ambulance. They're expensive. Mr. Elroy, do you remember the document? Huh? Oh, that thing. Whenever we read a book in the lounge, we're required to write down our thoughts. I'm not sure how it keeps tabs on us, though. I believe it's about keeping track of your mental state. But that's not important right now. Mr. Elroy, you wrote your impressions about the book right here. And here, we can see the impressions of the next person who read the book. Aha! That's got to be the person who erased my message. Who was it? Who read the book after me? Mr. Roger, our victim. You know, after what Xena said, now it's kind of coming together. Mithril read the message, then she wanted to eat, but because she read the message, all the food that she's eating doesn't get processed and then she dies. What? Mr. Elroy, the only person who picked up the book after you left your memo was the victim. Not even Miss M knew about the message you left behind. That means the victim erased your message. After all, if Miss Barafin were to have seen it, she might have altered her plan. Your warning to the victim was delivered as you wished. But why? Why'd she just die like before? Perhaps it wasn't just like before. What do you mean? The victim saw your warning. If everything went according to plan like it did in the previous timeline, it wouldn't have been the pain meds that killed her. In other words, There's a difference between the case from the timeline you experienced and the case we're currently investigating. A difference. If there was a difference between the two cases, I have an idea what it might be. I've got a document that contradicts the account Mr. Elroy gave about the previous timeline. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee. It's what Case would have done. I ran out of coffee. Mr. Elroy, I'd like to ask you a question. Wait a minute, I drank coffee at 3 a.m. Shit. Wait a minute, is it 3 a.m.? What's today's date? I didn't have a calendar in here, but it's obvious. It's December 20th, right? I see. Brian, the date? I don't have a calendar either, but the answer is indeed obvious. Today is Christmas Eve, December 24th. What? No, that can't be. It's clearly... According to you, Miss Roger died on the 20th. That's because in your timeline, she did die on the 20th. Right, there's no way I got that wrong. Before using my skill and going back in time, I asked someone I trusted for the date. Bro, I asked you! Right, that I'm sure that the incident happened on December 20th in the previous timeline. Yet, we're 4 days off. Then how did this... Mr. threw away the food on top like I asked, but the poison was mixed in too well, so she died 4 days later than before? No. Miss M, the person who carried out the act, says she just sprinkled the medication on top. Plus, it's not a poison but a rather strong pain medication. If she only ended up ingesting a little bit, she wouldn't have died. In other words, she didn't overdose on pain medication this time. She must have died for some other reason. Some other reason? Then someone besides Berefin killed Mithril? No, we have no evidence of another killer or accomplice. It's impossible for there to be 2 murderers in one building, let alone in such a closely guarded facility. Even more so when you consider the particular skill of the victim. But then how did the victim die? Our current case and the case from Elroy's timeline are different, but only in a single way. Mr. Elroy's intervention, his warning, somehow changed something. Sergeant, I know. Make your mess note. Yes, ma'am! He's been waiting for this. Bro, this isn't your room. Shouldn't you be asking for my permission first? Shut the fuck up. There's only a single difference between this case and the one from the previous timeline. It lies in whether or not Mr. Elroy intervened. It's clear that this set off a chain of changes. Let's think. Think, Notrick, think! I've got to put myself in the victim's shoes. What would have happened if I were her and I saw Mr. Elroy's warning? What would change if I knew my meals were toxic? Tina said, right? Like she would just not eat. Yes! First try! I always get first try for everything. Yes. I unlocked it! I figured it out. Blah, blah, blah. I figured it out. The victim was a dead woman, one way or another. Are you serious? Who did it? No, more importantly, how? The how actually doesn't matter. In a way, the victim's death followed a set path. Look here, friend. You should probably be a bit more careful with your words. I'm sorry, but there's no other way to put it. There was no other threat on the victim's life. The victim's death was caused by an incident we were already well aware of. Mr. Elroy, think about it. But think about it from the victim's point of view. What do you think the victim would have thought after seeing your warning? Once she knew that her food has been poisoned, and the person who warned her was a staffer able to travel back in time. Mr. Elroy, your warning was left with good intentions, but do you believe the victim would have been relieved after reading it? What are you? The victim was made aware that she was in danger of dying, but instead of feeling relief at having avoided death, she must have been felt with the dread of death coming for her. Especially for a staffer able to sever any harm that might come her way. I'm sure death was something she viewed as a distant threat. The shock she received must have been immense. Moreover, in this unique enclosure set up by the Bureau, I don't see mental recovery coming easy to her. Even if she threw away the top part of her meals, I doubt she'd be able to get the rest down easily. When we checked out the victim's room, we found lots of evidence the victim's reluctance to eat. In the end, the victim rejected her food altogether. So what of it? There's no way she could have stopped eating all the way to the point it killed her. So none of that's important, right? No. No is right. The fact is that the victim was reluctant to eat is important, and that's because of a certain trait of hers. Here it is. Mr. Elroy, how much do you know about the victim's skill? All I know is that her body protects her. That's all I got from the short conversations we were able to have on the glass wall on the lounge. Well, I see. You're not wrong about that part. The victim's body severs the effects of any sort of threat. The problem is how a thing is determined to be a threat. The skill itself is the determiner of what is a threat and what isn't. However, Roger's mind is able to make certain exceptions. That's right, even with the toxic substance, her body would absorb the substance if Miss Roger believed it wouldn't harm her. I heard that part before. That's why the pain medication was able to poison her. Yeah, and of course the opposite also holds true. Anything the victim thinks is dangerous will not be absorbed by the body. What are you? The victim viewed her own food as a threat. In other words, she starved to death. What? The moment she became terrified of what was in her meals, the victim's skill saw her meals as a threat and severed their effects. Even though the victim forced down her food for her own survival, her skill severed that vital nutrients from her body, and her body was unable to absorb any nutrients from the food she ate. Her body grew weak, but the suspicion she was being poisoned was firmly rooted in her mind. As death approached, her fear of her food grew even stronger, until it finally killed her. The path was already set out for her, as sad as that is. And that's all because I warned her. That's right. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Mr. Elroy. It's fine. This isn't my first dance. This always happens. Every time I use my skill to try to change something, the problem only grows larger. When I first realized what skill I was given, I felt like a god among men. Even when I was running from those goons at the bureau, I felt like the main character of a movie, which only excited me more. But no matter how far I tried to run from the timelines, there was only so much one man can do. You can't make something better just by knowing about it. In the end, all I could do was make the world worse than it already was. I'm just that sort of monster. I forgot why they stuck me in here and tried to pull off yet another useless endeavor. And in the end, I only made Mithril suffer a worse death. And longer too. Mr. Elroy, we have no idea whether the victim suffered more or less. Probably more. I'm sorry. Okay, it was longer. You may be right in assuming so, but that's just a guess. I can't think of any evidence that points to her dying a better death, so I'll spare you such empty consolation. We're detectives after all. The only thing we believe in is verified truth. Thus, the only thing I can say for certain is that the victim lived an additional 4 days. You will have to live with that truth too. Let's go. Alright. Bro. Yeah. You keep that fantastic woman of yours close. I was going to tell you before, but the sergeant and I... You think? Things are different the way I'm seeing them. You do better to be more decisive. There's nothing you can do with that past but look back on it. If you want something to change, you gotta do it yourself. An easily erased message just won't cut it. Well then, let me just say, thank you. I hope I can see you again without having to turn back the clock. Indeed, you take better care of yourself, bro. It sounds so awkward when you say it. Again? Oh man, we didn't see Doug. Oh no! Doug! You did great back there! Finally done. Now we just have to wait here for the cabinet secretary, yeah? Elroy tried to save the victim, but the way he handled it ended up taking the victim's life once more. A tragedy of coincidence. You can call it coincidence, but it's still a burden Mr. Elroy will have to carry with him. I hope we can convince the cabinet secretary to not punish him. Coincidence? Is that really what it was? Pandy, what's wrong? Nothing. Just a bit of deja vu. Deja vu? I have been in this place before, higher on the streets, and I forgot the rest of it. Hey, it's a bopping soundtrack, okay? But do not play that when I'm driving the car. I do not know why I'm driving a car because I don't have money for a car. Maybe you have a car and I'm driving it. Don't play it when I'm driving. Because you're gonna feel adrift into a tree. Or off a cliff. Or into another car. I feel like I've lived through the case like this before. Probably just my imagination though. Come to think of it, there's something I've been curious about. Why didn't the victim explain her situation to the cabinet secretary? Em would have wanted the victim to die earlier, so she could have helped. Oh, wouldn't have wanted the victim to die either. Oops. No, I don't think things would have necessarily worked out like that. Note? Something you want to say? I should print out the transcript and choose which statement I want to refute. Is this actually? I have no idea. I hope so. None of this was a coincidence. Huh? What are you talking about, Note? Mr. Elroy tried to save the victim, but everything ended with the victim dying once more. Can that really be explained as a mere coincidence? Note, I'm really not following. Nothing in this case was a coincidence. Then what is it? Don't tell me. Are you saying someone planned all of this? No. To say this was planned makes it less than to say it was all coincidence. If it wasn't planned, it can only be a coincidence. No, it's as with everything in this case, it all looks too much like coincidence. Just like this impression written here. Note, you can head home early if you like. Sergeant, I'm dead fucking serious. The fact that you're serious makes me more worried. Note, you're no gumshoe anymore. The crimes copied into novels are just that. Fiction. What do you mean anymore? I don't know. No one actually wants those fictional murders to... No. Not in real life. No, there is one person. You figured it out too, didn't you, Sergeant? After all, we have a statement. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Ah, god damn it, it's the child. No, please don't be. Okay, if I finish this and the Steam achievement for finding the truth in the case comes up, I'm going to scream. Like actually scream, okay? I say that a lot, but come on. Douglas Touchstone. You all remember the kid Doug, right? Why are you dragging his name into this? Keep his name out your fucking mouth. Now that you mention him, Doug said it himself. I've always wanted to be a suspect in a case. Whatever, you can read it. Plus, he says something, Sergeant. Sometimes young staffers use their skills without knowing they're doing it. Okay, but if Doug did use his skill, what exactly does that imply? What exactly does that imply happened? That's a real sentence. Doug is able to create objects. He can't make the stuff in his novels become real. Also, Doug only used his skill a single time this month. He used the skill to create that lounge 23 days ago. So even if you're saying Doug had some way of getting involved in this case, it would be hard to support that claim when he hadn't used his skill a second time. I mean, no matter how immature the kid is, You really think he'd do something like that? Even for you, Note, this is pushing it. Note, I just heard something from one of them that rubs me the wrong way. I have to find something that contradicts it and point it out. Okay. No, you're wrong. Sorry. No, Detective Brian's wrong. Me this time. Whew, I thought it was me again. Into getting scrutinized have become a daily occurrence recently. Still, I'm sure Doug only used the skill once. If he used it another time, there'd be a record of it. Yeah, we're sure that Doug only used his skill a single time. What's wrong is what single thing he used his skill to create. Excuse me, but the fact that Doug made that lounge with his skill explains the strange way those two rooms are connected, no? Indeed, that's a plausible inference to make. However, if that lounge was made only 23 days ago, there's something that simply shouldn't be. Brian, let me see that trace photo. Here you go. I can't believe it. To think such absurd logic could ever be thought plausible. Baraffin's footprints. They were left on the ground 30 days ago, yes? Where? He's right! There's no questioning it. From the color of the footprints, I'm sure they're at least 30 days old. The thing Doug created at the time, it wasn't the lounge, so... The thing Doug created 23 days ago... Note, you can't be saying... The strange way the lounge connects to her cell, yet it wasn't the lounge she created. To become a character in a mystery novel, his unconscious mind worked to make his wishes a reality. To that end, it created... What did it create? The music's getting all trippy. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Oh, maybe. I've unlocked it. What are you trying to say? Sergeant, you remember, don't you? You told me something before we came down here. Don't think common sense can make heads or tails of anything you're about to see. I did. That lounge wasn't made with Doug's skill. It was always there. All we can say is that the way it's joined to the other cell is rather unnatural. In fact, it was built that way because the victim has a rather special connection to another one of our Oppenheimers. Because Miss Baraffin was able to observe the victim's daily routine, she was able to come up with her plan to kill her. If Mr. Elroy hadn't known the victim at all, who knows whether or not he would have tried to use his skill to come try to save the victim. Doesn't it seem like the layout of those two rooms is in that way in order to cause everyone everything to happen the way it did. Yet the lounge has always been there. So, which side was Doug's creation? Note. What on earth are you trying to say? Doug used his skill to create what was attached to the lounge. The victim's room. Actually, our crime scene. Eh? No, I don't understand. Yeah, me neither. Our crime scene is where the victim's been lying this whole time. Living this whole time. How would Doug create that? How would Doug creating that make any sense? It can't be. Detective Brian, you're looking at the trace photo of the crime scene, aren't you? Among the trace, is there anything older than 23 days? They just erased everything when they cleaned. That's not enough to explain it, Note. If you really stop and think about it, there's one more particular characteristic about the victim. Not as a staffer, but as a person. There's something weird. Everyone, this document should help jog your memories. You should be able to figure it out for her bureau file, but there isn't a trace of this woman from before she came to this facility. The victim carried the threat level of Oppenheimer, so it's hard to claim the bureau just neglected to investigate her, right? Indeed, it's also hard to think the bureau, at all the power they carry, would be unable to dig up a single thing about a person's past. Indeed, because there was nothing to find. Nothing from before she came to this facility. Doug used his skill to create the crime scene and everything it contained. There's one thing every crime scene needs. A crime scene needs a victim. No way! No. Common sense says that shouldn't be possible! This facility houses Oppenheimers. We have a woman who can make you believe anything and everything, and a man who comes from the future. Plus, one little boy who can create objects and memories that weren't there before. Common sense is a luxury this place can't afford. A victim was willed into existence through a skill? Then this is all about the Oppenheimers? No, this case. Yes, Sergeant? Note, I must say, it's quite unfortunate. Huh? It's an interesting theory, an interesting game theory, but unfortunately we've got evidence to the contrary. This. What's this? We found it in the victim's room. The note she left in her drawer. This note carries quite the interesting memory with it. Each night before the victim went to bed, she drew a single line on this paper. She left a record of how many days she's been here. How many days since she had arrived? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 42. Okay. If you look at it and see, it's been well over a month. The victim, she couldn't have been made with a skill. She's been here for a while now. What's this now? You were scaring the life out of me, Note. And why didn't you pull that out earlier? Yeah, why? Still, I'm glad to see it. If our victim really was just a creation, I would have been skeptical about why we were called in to investigate. Sorry, Note's logic was just so interesting to follow. Sergeant, there's no way you don't know. The victim's room, the note in the drawer, and the contradiction, the two spell out. Oh. Wait, what? Uh, Sergeant, why are you playing dumb? What do you mean? Regarding the victim's drawer when you found that note. There's something odd about it. It doesn't have a single memory of being used. Thus, it's impossible that it was the victim who did the writing. And that's from this investigation you did yourself, Sergeant. There are more than 40 marks on that piece of paper, but it was created as part of Doug's crime scene. And it was like that from the very beginning. I must have been mistaken. Let's go check that drawer again. Perhaps I'll find a memory of it being used. There's nothing on or in that drawer. Your investigation couldn't have been wrong. Note, don't incorporate an assessment of my skills into your deductions. Such things get in the way of the logical side of your brain. Sergeant, you're always wandering around by yourself, head in the clouds. But you take detective work more seriously than anyone I've ever seen. You may not let on to it, but you, more than anyone else, understand the minds of the hurt and wounded. So, Sergeant, there's nothing left to find in that drawer. That is my logical assessment. Note. Why, on today of all days, at this very moment, did you have to go and say something like that? Is it just me, or does the portrait look a bit different? I think it's just me. I'm not sure. So, you're saying Note's logic is sound? Then that means the memories you say that piece of paper held... Sergeant, why lie about that? I'd like to hear the answer to that too. Cabinet Secretary! So you knew? My apologies, but I'm not sure what you mean. Indeed, that was a rather idiotic question. It's obvious that you found out the truth during the incident 2 years ago. So the truth behind this case is... You don't need to tell me. I've been listening in on my spork. You were outstanding. The Bureau owes the four of you a big debt of gratitude. I would like to express how thankful I am. Whoa. A normal compliment was the last thing I was expecting. We had before Oppenheimers here, yet it was a mistake thinking these people could manage the facility without me. Guard. Yes, sir. You are to be re-educated and deployed elsewhere. So get started on the paperwork. Understood, sir. Good. And also, bring me Douglas Touchstone. Since the two of you are so close, it should be safe to do so. Understood. Cabinet Secretary, sir. Are you going to hold Doug responsible for this? That's a question for later. Excuse me? Blame isn't exactly something I hold in high regard, for both your investigation and this facility. The goal is not about finding who's responsible, but managing our wards. If you're asking who committed crimes here, I would be the first arrested for imprisoning innocent people. Hey, at least he's honest. Quite self-aware, at least. Yeah. Then, why are you bringing in Doug? He's to be promoted. Cabinet Secretary. We hardly need a full explanation. If you interrupt me one more time, I'll kill you myself. Sergeant? What do you mean by promotion? Just Touchstone used this skill, unconsciously, I might add, to create a staffer with an Oppenheimer-ranked skill. Moreover, he only created this Oppenheimer because he needed a false lead for his case. This pushes his threat level beyond that of Oppenheimer. So promotion means there's something above Oppenheimer? This is the first I'm hearing of it. Was this what the sergeant was hiding from me? He is now a risk to the whole world. He's a Noah, the highest threat of all phenomena. A Noah, huh? Okay, I can see that name. Okay. The highest level. Noah! The power to destroy this world in a single instant. If the people out there knew such a thing existed, society would collapse in on itself. Even in the underground, few knew of the existence of these Noahs. Under normal circumstances, a person read into this information without permission would be executed immediately. But since you hit such a high bar with this investigation, I'll give you a special pass this once. So since Doug has been promoted to a Noah rank, he'll be moved to a facility for those ranked higher? For now, we'll keep him under strict observation for roughly 1 week. Then we'll dispose of him in a way we deem safest. Dispose? You're going to kill him? But he hasn't done anything wrong! It's bad enough you have him on display in this ant farm you've got here, but now you're going to kill him? Stop. I understand where you're coming from, but... The rage is understandable. Thena Hervanus, you witnessed the deaths of your colleagues quite a number of times during your work in probations. Your inability to forgive transgressions must stem from your experiences there. You wish to filter out the evils for the betterment of our world. There's good in your actions. But isn't your good beneficial to... But is your good beneficial to everyone? Does a good that's beneficial to anyone even exist? How can you? I got a cramp. Hold on. What's this guy's problem? This world is tied to a railroad track. Douglas Touchstone is tied to the tracks heading another direction. For a distance, a trolley approaches that cannot be stopped. Oh my gosh, he's using that example, really? My pulling the lever to switch the tracks seems like an evil, but isn't pulling the lever good or just? And just? If the whole world were to be plowed over by that trolley, would that be beneficial? Would that be good? Don't your ideas of good just turn into mere spectator? Instead of trusting in the ambiguity you call good, I choose survival. I don't need something as frivolous as a justification. All I know... after all, I know exactly what I'm doing. If that boy were to resent this world for a single moment, the world would end. How about you lot? In your entire lives, have you never once resented your circumstances? Have you ever wished tomorrow would never come? Here, we have people who wouldn't throw the switch to change the tracks, but we also have no one who can set things back the way they were before the switch was thrown. I hear noises outside. Hold on. Except for one single person. Hey, Mr. Investigator! Why now? Oh. Did you find the culprit? Why'd he have to come this way? You got our girl. Your cooperation turned out to be a huge help. Woohoo! Seriously? That's great to hear. I'll have to brag that later to Miss Mithril. Right. I'm sure she'll be happy to hear it. Well, I guess I'm going on a trip for a while. So, when I get back, you'll have to tell me about that case like you promised. See you when you get back. Yep, see you later. Cabinet Secretary, could we get going now? You may. I already called for your escort. Note, cover your eyes. We should get going. I came here because... Maidan. Oh, it's him. Sir, put a guard on Morlo Elroy. If we continue to follow the path of that novel, there's a high likelihood he'd try to kill himself. Understood. Did Notric's talent live up to your expectations? He's still a bit wet behind the ears, but yes, they did. I'm sure of it. In that small amount of time, he figured out everything we knew about this case, then he dug even deeper to find more. Then about what you mentioned before. I've already spoken with the Chief of Investigations. Once you're done with this job, get your affairs in order. Sir, still quick as ever, sir. Don't waste your breath on compliments. You're just using up time. We've got our fourth person now, and we're going to have to settle on a threat level. We have humans with all the powers born to them, and superhumans that excel in one particular field. This power may not shine like the other supernatural abilities, but its presence far surpasses the others. Let's name it after the shepherd who stood up to a giant. The staffer, Case, is officially assigned the threat level, David. What? That kid. We absolutely must have him for our project. I'm sorry, what now? What? What? David? Is that like above Noah? Well, you did a good job today, Detective Case. If that's what you called me over to talk about, I'll be on my way. That's cold, my dear lad. Are you trying to copy your peers? I just come to learn what sort of person you are, Chief. You lot may hate me, but I love all of you. You're smarter than anyone, but you're dumb enough to be used and eaten up. What's more than that, you're normal like me, unlike the others. What's that supposed to mean? You don't know? The sergeant and Detective Brian and Thena are all perfectly normal. Dumb indeed. Even after everything you went through today, you're still not able to see the wood for the trees. Why'd Berefin say she'd kill your victim? Why'd Elroy try to save someone he knew so little about? Saying it's a grudge against the Bureau or due to some moral high ground is nothing but an excuse. The real reason is because they're staffers. What's going on outside? What? Staffers are a special lot. It's because they've lost off their mortal coils in favor for something outside the realms of normal society. They're trying to do something remarkable with the use of their skills. That's why all these cases with staffers are just so complicated. But you're no staffer, so how can you speak like you know them? Because that's what I do if I were in their shoes. Because everyone I know would do the same. Because humans are rational creatures. I'm the one who called you this way, so let me leave you with one piece of advice. If you want to climb the ladder of the Bureau, you've got about a day to start agreeing with what I just said. What was that last part? Sounds like words of someone who's leaving, no? Was it that obvious? Well, I mean, you're going to figure it out for yourself tomorrow anyway. Remember my advice. You've got the talent to go up and up. What did he say again? No, what did he say? Just... I have no idea. Only kings and kooks enjoy high places. However, there is one thing you said that I can relate to. Those people, whether I believe them to be right or wrong, they're special. You'd better be going. Please tell Sergeant Redfins to stop by my office. Tell the other two not to be clocking out just yet either. I don't know where you're going, but I'm glad to see you off, Chief. Right. I guess this is goodbye. I'm here, reaching far across these new frontiers. With my life I fight this fear. In my hands I hold the ones I love, walk forward to the cold dawns, always to new horizons. What'd the chief tell you? Not much. He wanted me to call for you, Sergeant. He also said you two shouldn't leave for the day yet. Overtime after the day we just had? Well then, I'm off to see the chief, so you go ahead and leave, Note. Head home, wash up, and get some rest. Alright. Note, just in case you haven't figured it out yet, never speak a word of what you learned and saw today. I'm well aware. Also, there just might be someone keeping an eye on you starting today. I wouldn't do anything that could be misconstrued. Keeping an eye on me? There's a Noah, the highest threat level, that most of the people working in the underground don't even know of. The cabinet secretary will do everything in his power to prevent that fact from getting out. From this moment on, our every movement will be made under the watchful eyes of the Bureau. In fact, the building's interior is probably the only place we'll be free anymore. Why'd the cabinet security even let us know what he did? We're just an experimental division with zero authority or clearance. Indeed. That's why the sergeant was keeping her knowledge of the Noahs from us. Then just maybe I could... Note! Don't even think about it. Okay. Well, I'll get going then. And note, thanks for today. You saved our skins back there. If I see the sergeant dead, I'm going to scream. And my dad is right outside. Oh, thank God. Didn't I tell you to head home and get some shut-eye? Today, there's no fog. Every time I come up here, the fog is so thick. What I thought was a tower was actually just the steeple of a church. I always thought it was Big Ben. In truth, I'm not even sure what Big Ben looks like. I just decided to think that. I didn't want to find out. It's just as you said. Without the fog, it's a garbage view. Sergeant, you knew that Doug was going to be disposed of if we figured out the truth in that case. That's why you lied. Indeed. However, his death isn't your fault. I know. Doug's fate was sealed the moment he was born. What I did just brought that fact out to the light of day. It was the cabinet secretary who made the decision. I just let the truth go and watched what followed. And honestly, I'm a bit relieved. I'm glad they figured out the extent of that kid's skill before it was too late. For the sake of the world we live in. I'm glad they'll kill him. I'm really relieved. One thought kept me in London. I needed to find a job. Something for me to do. But I didn't actually want to know. I didn't want to know what that job really was. But it would have been better to remain ignorant. To die off in the comfort of a dream. If you're going to be a Londoner, you'll doubt one fact at least once in your life. That there exists a phenomena powerful enough to destroy the world. In truth, we already know. We're well aware that the world may suddenly end tomorrow. After all, at this very moment, somewhere people are dying. Oh, okay, there you are. But we all live on, as if we didn't know. If we didn't, nothing else would hold our focus longer than a second. The real world out there is an absolute mess. It's chaotic. It's rational. It's a world where discovery only leads to loss. So we keep laughing. We pretend not to know. Even when the Bureau paid me a visit on my 9th birthday. Even when I kept waiting to be sold off down the river as I completed my training. Even when I got caught up in all the big wigs' internal power struggles and thrown out like rubbish. Even when I was assigned to this experimental department for fledgling talent because I was so hard to handle. Even 2 years ago, when someone I respected died, I had to pretend that nothing happened and keep on laughing. But note, I just can't laugh in front of you. It's odd. The laughs just don't come. What is this? Note. Take my hand. Huh? But, Sergeant, it's okay. Because it's you. This world is packed to the very brim with things I want to forget. But everyone's in a blue mood. There's something I want to find out, even if it costs me everything. Oh boy, gosh. There's one person I wish I knew everything about me. And I want to know about you. Even after I forget every little detail about this world, I want to know about you. Damn. Me too. The same goes for me. There's a person I'd like to find out about. It was only for a moment, but as she stretched her fingertips towards me, those eyes looked so sad. And as our words poured out like they've been written out on a script, they kinda have been. I couldn't be certain where my own mind was. No. But because the past is a thing we can only look back on, I realized holding her hand wasn't enough. I care for you, Sergeant. Damn. Yes! Yes! I mean, I'm still upset that the kid was arrested, but yes! I'm glad for this moment anyway. I couldn't let go of the hand. The Manor Affairs Division, within the Investigations Department of the Phenomena Bureau, is to be shut down in 20 hours. Huh? Oh boy. Sorry I'm a little quiet. My dad's outside. Don't want to be disruptful and stuff. Also, he doesn't know about me playing and stuff. This case is a bit too hard, huh? I got the achievement. It is Doug who did it. It just had to be Doug. And he just has to die. Now what's this case 5 anyway? Let's see. I think I can begin the case. Preparations. Oh shit. That's not what I wanted to do. No. Wait, am I able to play case 5? I think I am. Anyway, yeah, this case is wow. I mean, it's only sad because Doug was he has to die because he's a kid, and he has a long life. Well, he had a long life. Now it's the opposite. All because he wanted to be part of a case. It's quite sad, honestly. Why? And that part about the end, does that mean that Nautrix the highest ranking staff, or he's just in a category of his own? I don't know. I don't think David is better than Noah, so I don't know. All this is hurting my head. What's going on? I mean, that part with Redfin at the end was good. I still don't know much about her though, so yeah. I guess we'll see later on, huh? Yeah, we'll see later on. Anyway, with that being said, thank you so much for watching my playthrough of Stafford Case. And if you like what you see, stay tuned and stay awesome. Good night.